Well, once Julian Alvarez had given City the lead from a Jeremy Doku cross, you felt that it might be City's day. Brighton had one or two half moments, nothing more. But when they made an error, when they were really careless in possession from their own throw-in, Erling Haaland pounced upon a loose ball and thumped it with his left foot from just outside the D. And therefore, at half-time, it is City 2, Brighton 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and join Cel.
All good. Welcome back to Match Day Live, half-time at the Etihad Stadium in our 3 o'clock kickoff against Brighton, and it's Manchester City 2, Brighton 0. Dakota, I'm going to come straight to you. That's what we want to see from the boys in blue, innit?
Yeah, told you about Doku as well.
You did, you called it. What an amazing first half from him.
Yeah, honestly, he's doing so well. I mean, Milner's struggling with him on the side there. I think every player is, but that's what I expected.
That's what we called it. I mean, and that's what you get here on the show. Paul, it was after them first there was a Brighton spell of pressure to begin with, them first 5, 6, 7 minutes, but then after that City just grew into the game, and I think that's kind of one of the most comprehensive first halves of football I've seen so far this season.
Well, the first sort of 6, 7 minutes, as you said, 10 minutes was what we were expecting, you know, an open game. Brighton haven't changed the way they play. They knew they were going to come here and try and be expansive, but you've got to get it bang on if you're playing against Manchester City. And you know, Dakota picked out our man Doku before the game. You know, I think James Milner's actually getting unscrewed out the floor out there because he doesn't know what way he's going. He's taking him inside, he's taking him outside. Adingra, to be fair, in front of James Milner isn't giving him any help at all. You know, and Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, middle of the park, obviously Rodri, but Bernardo Silva, he's the pivot in there. He's finding all the little gaps in between their back four and the midfield, and it's too easy to get it into him, and he's just giving it, and Doku's having a field there.
Also, I mean, we know how attacking Brighton can be. We've not really, I mean, I can't really remember too many times they've threatened the goal, really, Steve. Is that because City have been so good in possession and keeping them at the other end of the pitch, or do you think Brighton as well haven't quite been at their best?
Well, I think it's been said initially that they started off quite brightly, and it was an open game. It was backwards and forwards, and then just City seemed to just sort of, shall we say, got the second wind and then just started to control things. Obviously got the goal. It's one of them ones where I think Alvarez is slightly fortunate because it kind of, he either hits it into the ground or hits it off his standing leg. But as was said, I think Doku's the main man. He's the one that's causing the problems. Milner's having one of those ones where I'm pretty sure he'd be sitting in the dressing room thinking, I wouldn't be disappointed if the manager takes me off here. But what Doku does, which is brilliant, and if somebody that's got pace, if they can do this as well as he does, they can cause all kinds of chaos, because what he does is he runs at you, so you're going at pace, he stops, so you stop, then he goes.
Yes.
You're dead in the water. You've got absolutely no chance of actually coming back, and then you need that yard, half a yard. He gets in front and he gets across, and you can't do anything. That's what he did with the first goal. He kind of looked as though he was stopping, bang, he'd gone, whipped it back. Defender's got absolutely no chance. So he's been, for me, he's probably been the star man. But obviously, as Dicky has said and Dakota has said, I think you look at Bernardo Silva and Foden, they've been excellent as well. But having said that, stupid booting for Rodri. Doesn't need it, but Stones has been excellent as well.
We're going to focus in on the goals, but let's just quickly mention the second goal scorer. And Dakota, you were saying there's no need for anyone to be worrying or stressing about Haaland, and he took his goal beautifully, didn't he?
He did, and I said that'll shut a few people up. I'm happy. I was so happy for him to get that goal, and it was the way he just placed it as well into the net was just perfect. So it just shows he's got it there. It's just that, you know, not every day is as good as, you know, he'd like it to be.
Or maybe, as you say, the expectations he's created, for sure. Exactly. Let's highlight the first goal, Paul. Julian Alvarez, but great work, of course, from the left-hand side, as we've been saying.
It was, and you could see it coming, especially down the left-hand side. You know, Doku a couple of times had drove at Milner, and he cut inside twice, and should have hit the target on a couple of times. This time he's mixed it up. As Steve said there, it must be so difficult to play against. You know, because he's so quick and he goes at pace, but then he stops you. And as soon as he stops you, he's so explosive over that first few yards. There's nothing you can do about it. And a little turn and check in the box is just, he's sold the defender an absolute beauty. And then, but when you do that and you're that quick, he's then got the composure to in split second to go and pick Alvarez out.
Yes.
With his final pass, and I think Steve's centre forward Julian there. I thought it was a great finish by Alvarez.
He meant it.
I mean, well, the other thing though with Doku is also it's the speed of his feet. Even when he's not moving, his bits and bobs over the ball. I can only imagine if you're trying to defend against that speed, that I mean, what do you do? Just have to try and sit tight and wait for that movement, or?
It's a difficult one because you know he's that quick, and if you go and take a nip, like a bite, and he just knocks it past you, he's gone past you. You're not getting back at him. If you stand off him, you're then backing up. Before you know it, you're backing right onto your own goal, and you're in danger world there. It's just because, as Dickie said, that's what happened with Milner. He was backing off. He was coming inside on his right foot, and he's trying to bend it in the far corner or strike it in the far corner. And twice, really, he should have hit the target. But that's the problems defenders have, because if they go and they don't win it, that's them out of the game. If they back off, that's them in dangerous positions which they don't want to be, because then, as Dickie said again, he's got the presence and sort of the presence of mind to just pick somebody out without being kind of rash and giving it away. So doing the hard work, and then the easy bit he's not doing right, he is doing it right. He's causing all kinds of problems.
Yeah, could have maybe even had a couple more, some lovely pullbacks from him. We just mentioned there with Dakota, Paul, then Erling Haaland, and that thing you said there, I felt like, I mean, it's so difficult, but Dunk did almost back off a little bit, which created that space for Haaland. It was such a beautifully well taken.
It was a great finish, but you know, Brighton causing themselves their own problems, their own throw-in, trying to play out. I've ended up nicking it, and Erling, when he picks up that ball, he's got one thing in his head. He's not even till it was 25 yards out and he picked it up 30 yards out. He's thinking, I'm shooting here. But then as he's got closer, he's looked up and he's actually done the goalkeeper. He's used Dunk as his marker. Actually, the goalkeeper thinks he's going to bend it, and at the last minute he's given the eyes and whipped it. And it's a hard thing to do, to whip the ball, but whip it with the power that he whipped it into the bottom corner. You know, and all that stuff about he's struggling with confidence. That's not a striker that's struggling with confidence when you go and do that. You know. And delighted for him. You could see how happy he was as well, you know, when he scored his goal. So I'm expecting a few more from the big man now.
So is my fantasy football, to be fair. the other player up front who I think has been brilliant, Dakota, is one of our very own. Phil Foden has been gliding around that pitch. How impressed have you been by him in that first half?
I always am, to be honest, but yeah, they're just the control, the touch on the ball, everything from him is just perfect. The way he sets everyone else up, and if you look at him as well, he's always in space. He's always there's always room on that wing. He's a quality player.
He is, and it really feels like we're getting to see. You know, we know he's been getting better and better, but I don't know about you. I still feel like we're still yet to see the best of him. I feel he's got so much more potential, I guess.
Yeah, of course, and he's still so young as well, and being surrounded with players like that at this age and at this stage in his career can only do, you know, good things for him. So
couldn't agree more. Brilliant from Phil Foden. A couple of other names that we missed and have been so great to see on the pitch. Rodri, of course, but John Stones, probably. Steve, I'll put that one to you. I mean, he's just looks like he's picked up where he left off last season.
He's just, for me, I mean, he's just in cruise mode. He's just a fantastic kind of smooth machine that just glides. He doesn't look rushed. He's got such good confidence. He's got confidence. He's very, very good on the ball. Nobody seems to get him off. He's got a great awareness of what's around him. For me, he's like a Rolls Royce in there. If you're going to compare him to a car, he's like a Rolls Royce. Smooth, powerful, doesn't look phased, just glides effortlessly. It is beautiful to watch.
There was a bit of talk maybe before with, you know, Ruben Diaz, who we're so used to seeing in the starting 11, but he's gone for Stones and Akanji, and the partnerships work well. I mean, they've hardly faced,
apart from, I think it was the first couple of minutes when Matoma had a good little run into the box, and it was an easy save for Stefan Ortega. But Akanji, look, since he's come out of the club, he's been fantastic. Whenever he's come in, you don't miss it. And we're so blessed in that area as well. You only think you've got Nathan Ake on the bench, you've got Diaz on the bench, you've got Guardiola that can play there, and you've got actually Akanji and John Stones that are in there today. So, but I'm with Steve. John Stones, we were laughing at one point, weren't we? He made a third man run from his own half, and he was in centre forward position, looking to get it in, and that's your centre half. But then on the flip side of that, it broke down, and he was the last man defending. So his game awareness and his football knowledge is sensational.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We'll maybe look at it from the City point of view, but obviously, Brighton point of view, obviously this is not where they want to be at half time. I just wanted to ask you, Dakota, you know, when maybe at the end of a round or something, or if you're a couple rounds in, not that you probably ever, but you really find yourself in this position, But when maybe if you feel it's not going, your way, or you think I can be better, what is the sort of conversations going on in your head? Do you know when you're trying to go, right, I need to do something different the next time I'm out there?
Yeah, for me, like obviously I'm on my own, so there's no time for me to be like feeling sorry for myself and like blaming other people. Like I've just got to listen to my coaches and get back on it. So that's the same thing they're going to have to do. Don't be blaming each other, and they've just got to kind of keep strong. But it's hard against City, like we said at the start, when you open up a little bit, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on now. So they're going to have to change something, whether that's maybe parking the bus again or something like that.
It's a good point, actually. Do you think the De Zerbi will be maybe having to think, all right, maybe, because you can see the minute that we have attacked, the space that we've got for Doku to run into, do you think he might be going, right, we need to rejig something, Steve, or is he going to stick to the principle?
Well, he could look at it a couple of ways, really. He could just think, do you know what, I want us to attack a bit more, because if we get the next goal, it's game on.
Yeah.
But he also knows if City score the next goal, it's game over. So which way does he play it? Does he just sort of say, listen, let's try and hold up, maybe catch them on the counter-attack, or see where we can go? Because really, as we've said, apart from the first 5, 6, 7 minutes maybe, they haven't offered anything. So it'd have to be a dramatic change for them. And what they don't want to do is what has happened a couple of times this season, even though they are where they are and they get as much praise, they sometimes capitulate.
Yes, yeah,
and then they
just,
they blow a gasket, and then it's like it could be 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what his team talk is to his players.
On the City side of things, Paul, I guess it's much of the same, and also we love the look of City's bench as well. Suddenly you can see we're back to full strength, but much of the same, I guess Pep will be saying to them. Is there anything maybe you think you might want to tweak, or just maybe be a little bit better at?
Not really, maybe just be a little, and it's hardly scored 2 great goals, but maybe just be a bit more clinical, the amount of positions we've got into in and around the box, maybe the final ball, finishing a bit more. But Pep he's a perfectionist, so even though that first half was fantastic, he will still be picking out things for him to go out and do better in the second half, because that's what he's like, that's what drives him on, and that's what drives the players on as well.
Do you think as well, obviously with Stones, a couple of Mays maybe still coming up to full fitness, that'll probably mean that we might turn to the bench and see a couple of introductions later?
I think that depending on how the game's going, I think if it goes to 2-1, I think it'll keep it the same as it is, but I think, as Steve said, if we go on and get that third goal and it's game over, gives you the opportunity, because John was out for a long time, and he has played for England those 70 minutes during the week, and then another game today, so it might be better, but if we get that third goal, maybe wrap him up in cotton wool a little bit.
Yeah,
he's the best.
Of course we're speaking about Ortega coming into the fold for this game, and it was funny, Dakota, you were saying Edison makes you very nervous still sometimes. How's Ortega fared for you? Has he been all right?
He's done well, actually. Yeah, he's not done anything that's freaked me out a little bit too much yet. So
we're doing we're okay.
It's nice to have a bit of a break from Edison and not be like sat here stressing.
Yeah, that Cruyff turn comes to mind.
Yeah.
That one was a cheeky one. I wondered, when we saw Welbeck go off, Ferguson not quite at the service maybe that we know he can capitalise on. He also looks quick. I didn't realise how quick he was in person, but he definitely could be a threat and probably one we need to keep an eye on, Steve.
Yeah, you've got to keep an eye on him, but he hasn't had a sniff. And any ball that's gone up to them hasn't been of great quality. It's kind of come at him at a difficult height, a difficult pace, and you could see him, I think, twice, but particularly once the ball went up to him and it wasn't a great ball, and he was kind of looking at the person who's passed the ball, was like, I need better than that, I can get a hold of it, but give us a chance. So it looked as though he was kind of disheartened a little bit, because he's come on, and basically all he's had to do is run to try and shut down the defenders that's just passing around him in little triangles. So he's obviously going to be frustrated, so he'll want things to change. So he'll be a player that's listening intently from the manager to see how he wants his team to play, which then brings him into them.
Absolutely. Final word, I think, because players won't be long before they're back out. We've spoken about De Zerbi's style of play in the pressing, but I just wanted to point out, I think our pressing in that half as well played such a big part, Paul. There were times I'd look and there was 3 players on one of the Brighton plays. It was really, really good.
We talk about it a lot. Everybody who watches Manchester City from the outside talks about how good we are with the ball, how we keep possession. We are one of the best teams without the ball when we get the press right, and it's set. You can tell they set things up. They set little traps for teams. It's interesting. Even before the game, I was thinking, do we go and press Jason, steal and goal? Is he going to get Alvarez or Haaland to do that, and then everybody goes in behind? but we're not. We're just sitting it off, and as soon as Jason Steele makes that pass into midfield in his defence, we are on top of them and winning the ball high up the pitch. And that's half the reason Steve's saying about Evan Ferguson. They can't get any quality ball to them, and if they do, they can't get up the pitch quick enough to do it because we're pressing them and winning the ball back up so high.
Well, listen, gents, we can see the players there. They are coming back out into the tunnel, so we'll take a break from us here. Come join us back at full time. Some last minute notes here. I think, is this to John? It's to Guardiola. So we'll be back at full time and hopefully be talking about a Manchester City win. We're on the right track. It's Manchester City 2, Brighton 0.
Well, thank you, Kel. And before I start describing the second half here at the Etihad Stadium, I've got some sad news to break to everyone listening around the world that one of the great players of really the century, Sir Bobby Charlton, has passed away. One of the boys of '66, England's World Cup heroes, of course, at Wembley on that never to be forgotten day, and he has passed away today at the age of 86, and I'm sure you will join me in passing on sincere condolences to all his family, and I'm sure there will be a fitting tribute to him at next week's Manchester derby at Old Trafford. Well, let's get back to events here and now, and I'm sure Sir Bobby would have enjoyed this game of football. Two sides playing the game in the right way, trying to take